Ferrall for Mickey today on Ferrall and the Prophet. He's in Seattle riding bikes like a fam, and I'm over here grinding and trying to hit winners, and I'm not doing it. Obviously, Sunday was a disaster for me in the NFL pain day wise. Pain day it certainly was, because I couldn't hit shit. And then Monday Night Football, I got whacked again. I took the Ravens, I laid it, I got burned. I had the under because the whole world was on the over. And what happened? It went over, and the Lions won the game. They dominated the game. I don't care if it was 38-30. That's what Detroit won by. I mean, when you shove the ball down the Ravens' throat like they did, that's domination. They really did. 224 to 85 in rushing yards. Gibbs and Montgomery ran for two tutties apiece. They both had two touchdowns, and they just dominated. As far as I'm concerned, 38-30 was the final. I think one of the keys to the game, obviously beyond the rushing, was the fact that they sacked Lamar Jackson 7 times. How pathetic was Baltimore's front? I mean, they just let this guy get tortured. I've never seen that guy sacked 7 times. Dan Campbell said, I was just so proud of the players, proud of the coaches. It was an outstanding team effort. Detroit scored on drives of 98 and 96 yards. 98 and 96 yards. My God. That 98-yard drive seemed like it took the entire second quarter. And that is unbelievable to me. Up 31-24 at the 2-minute warning. Detroit converted on a 4th and 2 from its own 49 when Goff completed a 20-yard strike to Amon-Ra St. Brown. Campbell said, I got a tremendous amount of trust in those guys, and it's been building for 5 years. Then Montgomery raced for a 31-yard tutty with a minute 42 left, capping a 151-yard night on the ground for the running back. 151 yards, my God. Baltimore should be embarrassed. Jackson threw his third tutty of the night, a 27-yarder to Andrews with 29 seconds left, a failed 2-point conversion, and then they failed on the onside kick. And that was it. The Lions kneeled down and the clock ran out and they got it done. Harbaugh said, the biggest problem is we didn't play good defense. Gee, you didn't block either. Yeah, I know you couldn't stop the run, but you didn't block. Your quarterback was tortured all night long. Harbaugh said there's nobody in that locker room that thinks that that's good enough. That's not who we are. It cannot be who we are. It's not good enough. It's not acceptable. How about Detroit? They get it done. They lose Ben Johnson in the offseason. He goes to coach the Bears. Everyone thought they weren't going to be the same team, but they looked like it last night, didn't they? On the road in the Charm City. They rebound in week 2 against Chicago, lit up the Bears, and now they're looking like Super Bowl contenders again after that performance against the Ravens. I mean, bottom line is, they did whatever they wanted to them. You can't tell me that you can have drives of 98 yards and 96 yards and you're going to lose the game. Campbell said those guys were very disciplined. We didn't have anybody jumping up in the air, diving, ill-advised diving. They all bottled him up. They were disciplined. The guys made huge plays, and he had nowhere to go, talking about Lamar Jackson. And how about the Ravens now? 1-2, getting dealt with on their home field. They lost for the 4th time in 26 primetime games under Harbaugh. When Gibbs and Montgomery weren't doing it to him, Goff had time to pick apart the Ravens' defense and move the ball down the field. The score was tied at 21. The Lions faced 4th and 1 from the Baltimore 4 on the first play of the 4th quarter. St. Brown took the ball. It looked like a jet sweep. Then he pitched it back to Gibbs, who scored easily. After a field goal made it 28-24, the Ravens got a stop, but Derrick Henry lost a fumble again in a big moment. Remember, he fumbled against the Bills when they blew a 15-point lead and choked against Buffalo. Now he fumbled again in a huge 4th quarter spot. That's the second time in 3 weeks he's blown a game for him. I don't care what anybody says. Those turnovers are just something he doesn't do, but now he is doing it in big moments to lose games. That's all there is to it. It gave Detroit the ball at the Baltimore 16. The Lions, though, couldn't put the game away. They had to settle for a field goal, and they had a penalty on Christian Mahogany. Everybody loves when I wax the mahogany, by the way. Ferrall on a bench. I got ooh. But the Ravens couldn't move the ball, and they punted on 4th and 9. Then Montgomery made it a 14-point game. Everybody knew the Lions were fresh off a 52-point game against the Bears. They moved down the field early and scored 7-zip on a 1-yard tutty by Gibbs. Then the Ravens, who had 40 points in each of their first 2 games, tied it on a 28-yarder by Henry. King Henry had the tutty. The Lions retook the lead on a 1-yard touchdown run by Montgomery, smashing through the line. It capped the 18 plays, 98-yard drive that took 10:48 off of the clock. The Ravens were down 2 of their top pass rushers in this game, and they got to Goff barely at all. I mean, they couldn't give him any grief. Baltimore wasted a second-and-goal situation from the 1 later in the second when Henry was stopped twice. On 4th and goal from the 2, Jackson fumbled and the ball rolled all the way back to the 20. But when the Lions took over there, Baltimore's defense held, and Jackson threw a 3-yard touchdown pass to Bateman to tie the game at 14 with 24 seconds left and a half. So it was 14s at the break. Baltimore took a lead in the third when Jackson threaded a 14-yard strike to Andrews, but Goff answered with an 18-yard touchdown strike to St. Brown. The last time the Lions faced Baltimore, the Ravens won 38-6 in 2023. Baltimore led 28-zip before Detroit ever got a first down in that game. This is Detroit's first win over the Ravens in Baltimore and snapped a 5-game losing streak in the series to the Ravens. The Lions were the first team with 2 touchdown drives at least of 95 yards in a game since New England did it against Cleveland in 2021. Wow. Baltimore plays at Kansas City on Sunday in another huge game between Jackson and Mahomes. Detroit hosts Cleveland, and they're going to beat the shit out of them. Wow, that is crazy. Detroit gets it done 38-30 in the Charm City last night. So I lost both of those bets. Drag. We're going to make sure that Mickey does the NFL picks this week. Thursday, Sunday. I'll just stay away from it. Nobody can question my college picks. You mother Ferrallers can't say anything about my college picks. You know what I did on Saturday. And Mickey as well. We give you the podcast on Saturday and do a ton of free plays, right? And we went 17-8-1 in those free plays. 17-8-1. We're just handing you stacks of money. And then the pay picks on Saturday, we all know what happened. I went 5-0. I remember the games like it was yesterday. The UNLV Miami of Ohio overhit. The South Carolina Missouri with the late field goal by Mizzou hits the over. We had UCF laying 6.5 against North Carolina, and they spanked their ass. And of course, Hawaii late night on the Big Island in Oahu. They lost to Fresno 23-21, but we had 3 with Hawaii and covered. And then the big win was Michigan, minus $1.15 to win in Lincoln at Memorial in front of 90,000, and they got it done against the Huskers, handing Rule and Nebraska their first loss. And I thought Michigan's running game looked phenomenal, and their pass rush equally as phenomenal in that game against the Huskers. They just absolutely beat up Raiolo. They threw him on the ground like a rag doll the entire game. Thank God last night I hit a couple of big profitable bets in baseball. That Cardinals plus 128. They beat San Francisco 6-5 at Oracle in the city. So bottom line is, you hit that, and we hit the over at plus 115 in the Milwaukee San Diego game at Petco. That was a great game, by the way. It went 11 innings. Freddie Fermin singled in Bryce Johnson with one out in the 11th, and the Padres beat the three-time Central champ Brewers 5-4 to clinch their fourth playoff berth in 6 seasons. Fermin, they got him from the Royals at the deadline. July 31st, drove the first pitch he saw from Anderson to center field, tossed his bat aside, and the party started. 42,000 plus at Petco. The Padres pulled within 2.5 of the Dodgers in the West race and 2.5 games behind the Cubs in the race for the first of 3 wild card spots. They're in. It doesn't matter. The Brewers clinched their 3rd straight division title over the weekend on Sunday and are headed to the playoffs for the 7th time in 8 seasons. That's crazy, the run that they've been on in Milwaukee. They're trying to clinch the NL's number 1 seed, of course. Iglesias bunted Johnson to third before Fermin delivered the winning hit. Each team scored a run in the 10th. The Padres left the bases loaded in their half of the inning. Luis Arraez singled in the tying run with 2 outs in the 7th and pumped his fist toward the dugout on his own bobblehead night. Imagine that. The Padres had fallen behind 3-1 in the 2nd before Iglesias started to come back with a leadoff homer in the 5th off Peralta. What a game, Pivetta and Peralta. Everyone thought it would go under. We bet the over and cashed it at plus money. So the plus 115 and the plus 128 softened the blow of the Lions beating the Ravens and not hitting the under. I can live with it if I'm still making a little bit of money at the end of the night. Bottom line is, Padres get into the playoffs. I like that team. I think they're fun. They can never seem to get it done in the postseason, though. Last year, of course, the Dodgers won it all, and the Padres, many believe, gave them their stiffest challenge in the playoffs. After they got past the Padres, nobody could stop them, and they kicked the Yankees' ass, as you know, 4-1 in the World Series, when Aaron Judge couldn't get a hit the entire series. It was embarrassing. But that was what happened last night. The other one was Chris Sale dominated the Nats. We had the Nats on the run line plus a run and a half at minus 102. Thought maybe we'd get lucky because Washington had kind of been hot. They, kicked the Mets' ass all weekend long, and you don't see them coming, and then they sneak up and bite you. So I just wanted to, first of all, set the table for tonight, what's going on, and then we'll get into the college football games that are going to go down this week and the pro football games that'll go down on Pain Day Sunday, including the game between the Vikings and Steelers, which is in Dublin, Ireland. Yeah, they're going for the love of the Irish. Anyway, tonight in the WNBA playoffs, Phoenix down 1 at Minnesota. The Lynx up in the series already. Game 2 tonight, 7:30 on ESPN. And then the nightcap at 9:30 or so. It's Indiana with a 1-zip lead over Vegas. They're in Vegas again for game 2. Everything else is baseball tonight. 6:35, you got Tampa and Baltimore. Pepio and Coffee and Kramer at Camden. By the way, I did make a bet on this game tonight. I also made a bet on this game. This is the game of the night at 6:40. It's in Cleveland at Progressive. It's Detroit and Cleveland. Skubal, the Cy Young winner, against Williams. Don't be fooled. Williams is tough. He's got 11 wins. Of course, Skubal, you can't beat him. He's 13-5 with a 2.23. But how about Williams? 11-5 mark, and Gavin's ERA is equally impressive at 3.06. And Cleveland's won 11 of 12. They've been on fire. 6:40 in the Queen City. Pittsburgh and the Reds. Oviedo against the Lounge Singer. The Pirates are awful. The Reds have 80 wins. Of course, they caught the Mets for that last wild card, and they have the tiebreaker. 6:45, Miami and Philly in the bank in Philadelphia. Cabrera against Dirty Sanchez. The Phillies have already clinched and are in. 7:05, White Sox and Yankees in the Boogie Down Bronx. Smith against Heel. I like Heel on the run line. It's, minus $1.18 to lay the run and a half. I still think they'll do it. I still think they'll get it done and cover that. Boston and Toronto at 7:07. Giolito and Gosman in Toronto. That's a really good game there as well. I mean, Toronto's tough to beat. I'll give you that. And you look at their records. Giolito's 10-4 with a 3.4 ERA. Gosman's 10-10 with a 3.3. I just think they're tough to beat in Toronto. They're minus $1.68. I kind of like Toronto. 7:15, Washington is at Atlanta again. The Lord is pitching against Waldrop. 7:40, Mets and Cubs. Peterson against Tim Hortons Coffee at Wrigley. Cubs are favored minus $1.20. It's on TBS. 8:05, Minnesota and Texas. Matthews and Corbin at Globe. Texas is favored. I kind of like Texas at home. They're looking for their 80th win. 9:38, Kansas City and the Angels at the Big A. Ronald Reagan's against Aldegari. Kansas City, heavy favorites there, minus $1.55 on the road. 9:40, Colorado's at Seattle. The M's have just been killing it lately, winning almost every game they play. They're minus 2.5 Bills. Brown against Miller. 9:40, Milwaukee and San Diego again at Petco. Zimmerman against Vasquez there. Of course, the Brewers are in, and the Padres are in terms of the postseason, obviously. 9:40, Dodgers and Zona in the desert. Ohtani going for the blue, and Fott for the Snakes. Of course, in that one, Ohtani's minus $1.64. I think the Dodgers will get it done. 9:45, St. Louis and San Francisco. Pallante and Logan spinning a web at Oracle in San Fran. Webb is minus $1.98, a heavy favorite. And then at 10:05, Houston and the A's in Sacktown. Javier against Springswater. Believe it or not, it's a pick a minus $1.10 both ways. Nobody cares, but there's tons of NHL preseason action tonight as well. Bruins and Rangers, Blackhawks and Red Wings, Columbus and Buffalo, Islanders and Devils in Jersey, Ottawa's in Toronto, Phillies in Montreal, Minnesota at Dallas, Tampa's in Nashville, Edmonton and Ferrall, Seattle's in Calgary, and LA is in Vegas. All right, so let's shift gears now and take a look at college football for Saturday, because it's crucial that we start looking ahead at all the games. Now, you got a couple of different ones. The top 25 games, then we'll look at the rest, right? So as far as the top 25 goes, Friday night, there's games, believe it or not. Friday night, number 8, Florida State's in Charlottesville against Virginia, and Florida State's laying 7.5. I think the Noles have looked fantastic. They should be able to go in there and beat that Virginia team. Virginia's 3-1 though. They're tougher than most people think. And I guess the only question is that number at 7.5. And also number 24, TCU's at Arizona State. That's a great game out in Tempe. Arizona State's favored minus 2.5. TCU's undefeated, 3-0. They keep winning. They just handled SMU. And Arizona State is coming off a huge win. And I hit that game when they beat Baylor in Waco on Saturday, 27-24. We gave you that play free on Ferrall and the Prophet podcast on Saturday, and it hit. So Saturday, those are Friday games. This Friday night, the 26th. So 2 ranked games Friday night. Saturday, number 22, Notre Dame's at Arkansas in Fayetteville. They finally, unless I'm mistaken, this has got to be in Fayetteville, right? This game? Yeah, it's in Razorback Stadium in Fayetteville. I thought maybe it might have been one of those fancy games where they play somewhere else, like Jerry's World. Nope. It's at noon on Saturday. Notre Dame finally won a game. They beat Purdue on Saturday in South Bend, and they covered. So, number 16, Georgia Tech's at Wake Forest in Winston-Salem at noon. How about Georgia Tech? They're 4-0. They're laying 13 and a half to the Deacs. Number 21, USC's at number 23, Illinois in Champaign-Urbana. Illinois got whacked by Indiana and Bloomington on Saturday. The Hoosiers put 63 in their ass. USC's favored by 6.5 in this game. The Trojans are 4-0, and Illinois is 3-1 now, suffering their first loss at the hands of the Hoosiers. Utah State's at number 18, Vandy at 12:45 in Smashville. Vandy's laying 22 and a hook. Number 1, Ohio State and Washington in Seattle at Husky Stadium. Ohio State's laying 9.5 on the road. Washington's 3-0. So are the Buckeyes. In what might be the game of the week, it's number 4 LSU at number 13 Ole Miss in Oxford. 3:30 on ABC. Ole Miss laying 1.5. Both teams are 4-0. That is a kick-ass football game. Also at 3:30, Auburn at number 9, Texas A&M at Kyle Field in College Station. A&M's 3-0. Remember, they had that huge win against Notre Dame in South Bend. Auburn's 3-1. Auburn finally lost the game on Saturday. They lost by a touchdown in Norman to Oklahoma. We'll see if they can bounce back on the road in College Station. That's going to be brutal. Number 11, Indiana, 4-0. They score a lot. I mean, they are raking. Their last two games, they had over 70 points and over 60 points, and they look fantastic. They're at Iowa, who looked really tough against Rutgers, beating Rutgers in Piscataway last Friday night. The Hawkeyes are 3-1. Indiana's laying just 7.5 because Iowa's tougher than everybody thinks they are. They may give the Hoosiers a game. Number 15, Tennessee, is at Mississippi State in Stark Vegas. Mississippi State's unbeaten. They're 4-0. Tennessee's laying 7.5. The Vols are 3-1. Arizona's at number 14, Iowa State in Ames at 7 o'clock on ESPN. Both teams are undefeated. Arizona's 3-0. Iowa State's 4-0. Iowa State's laying 5.5. Oregon ranks 6th at number 3, Penn State at 7:30 p.m. on NBC in primetime in Happy Valley. Both teams are undefeated. The Ducks are 4-0. Lions are 3-0. Penn State's favored, laying 3.5. The other huge game is also in primetime. It's number 17, Alabama at number 5, Georgia. Are they playing this one in Athens between the hedges? They sure are. Sanford Stadium in Athens is that game on Saturday night. Georgia's laying 2.5. It's on ABC. And then number 20, Missouri is home again in Columbia, laying 43.5 to UMass. UMass is 0-3. Missouri's 4-0. Get ready for a beat down there. And number 25, BYU, 3-0, the Cougs, playing in Boulder against Deion's Buffs. Colorado 2-2. BYU's laying 6.5 there. I just want to look at some of the other games that aren't ranked. Those were all the ranked games. This Thursday night, right? So in a couple nights, Army's playing East Carolina at 7:30 on ESPN. East Carolina's laying 4.5. Friday night, on top of those two ranked games, there's Houston at Oregon State at 10:30 late night on ESPN, and Houston's laying 13.5. All right, so on Saturday, Rutgers is at Minnesota. Minnesota laying 5.5. Duke's at Syracuse. Duke laying 4.5. Be careful there. Duke's laying 4.5 at Syracuse. They're going to get beat at Syracuse. Louisville's at Pitt. Louisville laying 4.5 at Acusur in Pittsburgh. Can the Panthers 2-1 win a big game against unbeaten Louisville. Cincinnati's at Kansas. Kansas laying 4.5. The Jayhawks are 3-1. UCF's at Kansas State. UCF's undefeated. K-State's 1-3. K-State favored by 6.5. Can UCF win a big game in Little Manhattan? What else? South Alabama's at North Texas. Bowling Green's at Ohio. I'm just going to mention games that I don't care about the spread. Eastern Michigan at Central Michigan. Georgia Southern at James Madison. Arkansas State at Monroe. UCLA's at Northwestern. UCLA's already fired their coach, Foster. He's out. Cal's at BC. Cal got beat big and shut out by San Diego State at Snapdragon in SoCali Cal on Saturday night. And Mickey gave you that one outright. I was on San Diego State as well at 14. And they won big. They put like a 38 burger on them. Baylor at Oklahoma State. Utah's at West Virginia. Utah laying 10.5. UConn's at Buffalo. San Diego State at Northern Illinois. San Diego State favored, laying 2.5. Rice at Navy. Navy's unbeaten. Rice is 3-1. Good game. Navy laying 14.5. Akron at Toledo. New Mexico State at New Mexico. Tulane's at Tulsa. Tulane finally lost the game. They looked terrible against Ole Miss. Hawaii's at Air Force. Middle Tennessee at Ferrall State. Liberty's at Old Dominion. Rhode Island at Western Michigan. Vatex at NC State. NC State laying 10.5. Jacksonville State at Southern Miss. Western Kentucky at Missouri State. Memphis is at FAU in Boca. Memphis is 4-0. They're laying 13.5. What else? Washington State at Colorado State. San Jose State at Stanford. App State at Boise State. Boise laying 16.5. Kentucky's at South Carolina and Columbia. In that game, South Carolina's laying 6.5. Marshall's at Louisiana. Louisiana Tech at UTEP. UTEP's awful. That's every game on Saturday, if you can believe it. And Thursday night, Friday night, and then all of Saturday's games, including what I just gave you, all the unranked games, right? So here's the deal for Pain Day in the NFL Week 4. Thursday night, here the 25th, coming up in a couple nights, Seattle's at Arizona in the desert. Both teams are 2-1, and Arizona's laying 1.5. That's Thursday night, 8:15 on Prime. Sunday morning, this one's early, 9:30 on NFL Network. It's the Vikings and Steelers in the Dublin game. They're playing in Ireland. Minnesota's laying 2.5. Panthers and Pats on Sunday at 1 in Foxborough. New England laying 5.5. That's a lot of points. And the Panthers looked really good on Sunday, putting up 30 against Atlanta, and they shut them out. Chargers and Giants at Snoopy at 1 o'clock. Chargers are laying 6.5. Chargers are 3-0. Giants are 0-3. Titans and Texans, both winless. The game's in Houston. Houston laying 6.5. Commanders and Falcons also at 1. This one in Atlanta. Washington laying 2.5. Saints and Bills and shoving off to Buffalo. Bills are 3-0. Saints are 0-3. Bills are laying 15.5. Also at 1, Eagles and Bucks in Tampa. Philly laying 3.5. Both teams are 3-0. Browns and Lions at Ford Field at 1 o'clock. Detroit laying 8.5, coming off their big win in Baltimore last night. 4:05, Jags and Niners at Levi's Stonewashed Denim Jeans in Santa Clara. San Francisco's 3-0. They're laying 3.5 to the Jags. Colts and Rams in LA. Lipstick City. Rams are 2-1. Blew the game against Philly. Colts are 3-0 with Danny Dimes. Rams are laying 3.5. 4:25, Ravens and Chiefs at Arrowhead. Baltimore's laying 2.5. Favored on the road in Kansas City. Both teams are 1-2. 4:25, Bears and Raiders in Vegas. Chicago's laying 1.5. They're both 1-2. The Sunday night game is Packers and Cowboys at Jerry's World. Green Bay's laying 6.5. They're 2-1. They blew the game against the Browns. Cowboys got whacked by the Bears. They're 1-2. The Monday night game. How about a doubleheader instead? Jets and Finns in Miami at Hard Rock. Miami's laying 2.5. They're both 0-3. And then the Bengals and Broncos, that game is in Denver. Bengals are 2-1. They looked like shit on Sunday. And I mean, the Vikings just beat the shit out of them. Broncos blew the game against the Chargers. They're 1-2. Denver's laying 7.5. So a doubleheader on Monday night. That's the 29th. So you always love it when you get 2 games on the Monday nighter. We'll get Mickey to do the next Ferrall and the Prophet podcast. We'll get Mickey to do the NFL picks on Thursday, Sunday, and the doubleheader Monday. The last doubleheader Monday, I hit both of the games for you. So you know I can hit NFL bets. I've just been cold this weekend. That sucks. So blame me, hate me, turn on me, do whatever you got to do. Take it out on me. Go ahead. All your insults, all your nasty comments, have at it. Because you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to come back and haunt you when I do hit, when I do get hot, when I do start spanking spreads. You know I'm going to turn it around and start making money for you in the NFL. It's going to happen. I already make you a fortune in college football. You've already made a lot of money in baseball, and the playoffs are right around the corner doing push-ups. The wild card playoffs start on the 30th, and that's like tomorrow. I mean, this is the last week of the baseball season. So let's make some money tonight. Get a package. You can get the profit package. You know, profit plays, you get 2 picks. If you get the max profit plays, you're getting at least 4 picks a day. If you get the elite package, you get all the plays every day, 7 days a week. Everybody loves Ferrall and a Prophet podcast, which I did today solo, son. Usually it's Mickey and I doing it. And then you get Ferrall Unplugged. You get Jim Florentine comedy specials and all the stuff that he does. You get all the picks. Make sure you watch the picks videos for Max Profit and Profit Plays today and every day. And then you know where to go. You're going to get your elite plays. And you can go into the community and talk shit about me and Mickey and whoever. Mickey on another one of his goddamn vacations. This guy with all of his vacations. I mean, this guy, every quarter he's going all over the world. Now he's riding bikes in the San Juan Islands. I can't keep track of this guy. He's so busy. I mean, I don't know how he runs his other company. I really don't. I guess maybe he just tells people what to do and then they go do it. And then he shows up to do all the gambling with Uncle Futrelli. I mean, it's some bullshit when you ask me. All right, I think I did a decent job, right? Giving you a Ferrall and the Prophet podcast today. I gave you everything in sports. Set the table for tonight. Set the table for Thursday night pro football. Friday night college football. Saturday college football. I gave you every single ranked and unranked game that matters. And then Sunday pain day and a doubleheader Monday Night Football. I mean, you know everything that's going down in sports now, right? So you're good to go. Have a great Tuesday. I'm out of here. Shake it out. Ooh, shake it out. Ooh.